So one day I was scrolling around in the server I moderate called Movie Central, which you should totally join, by the way, link in description. Then I found this tweet about Ben Affleck saying that soon movie theaters will only be for Marvel and other big franchises. At first, it got me thinking a bit, and yeah, it makes sense, but over the coming days, the tweet just stuck in my mind and I kept thinking about it, which led me to make this video. Are movie theaters really dying? While I don't fully agree with what has been said, I'll go over some points here that you could argue are slowly killing movie theaters. I am pretty sure the first thing most people think of in regards to this topic is streaming services, and again, while I don't wholeheartedly agree, I can definitely see where they're coming from. The main 7 streaming services alone have almost 800 million subscribers combined. And streaming is basically like the go-to resort for directors that are unhappy. I mean, Zack Snyder pretty much left Warner Brothers to work with Netflix, and seeing as Aardman's films flopped in theaters, they have also moved on to Netflix. They have 2 feature-length stop-motion films set to release in 2023 and 2024 exclusively on Netflix. Those being a sequel to Chicken Run and the sequel to Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit. And seeing as Netflix doesn't own the rights to literally everything anymore and studios went on to make their own streaming services, pretty much every streaming service has to pump up a new original from now, so they don't fade into relative obscurity. Disney Plus and Netflix combined made over 200 originals in 2021, so that says a lot, doesn't it? Jokes aside, back to our topic. We cannot deny that streaming services are getting more popular. I mean, we used to make fun of Hulu back then, but in 2021, an original film of theirs won Best Picture at the Oscars. And due to the emergence of the pandemic in 2020, many films went from having a scheduled theatrical release to just randomly being released on streaming. And the ones that didn't probably got a dual release between both a streaming service or digital and theaters. Examples include Black Widow, The Addams Family 2, Raya and the Last Dragon, Jungle Cruise, Clifford the Big Red Dog, and so on. Overall, I don't really think streaming services are a huge factor in killing off movie theaters, but despite how great some of them are doing, they haven't exactly proven to be a consistently profitable competitor to movie theaters. So I'd say they're not really a huge factor of movie theaters slowly dying. I'm sure you've heard thousands and thousands of videos about people talking about our current health circumstances, so I'll keep this short. But yeah, the pandemic has definitely had a huge effect on movie theaters, and it was not exactly a positive one. I mean, we really had nothing big coming out that was theatrical for pretty much 3/4 of 2020 until Freaky and The Croods 2 released in November. And I wouldn't exactly say movie theaters got an actual boost until July of 2021, where we had something new coming out literally every week of the month, which was good. And the pandemic did not only have an effect on film, but filmmakers as well. Examples include the aforementioned Ben Affleck tweet in the beginning of the video, and recently, due to their past 3 films being put on Disney Plus, Pixar employees have really lost hope in making something that will actually stay theatrical. With chief executive producer of Pixar himself, Pete Docter, stating several times how he is against his films being put on Disney Plus instead of the big screen. But once again, I don't see this as a big thing affecting movie theaters anymore, seeing as a 2021 release is in the top 6 highest grossing films of all time, and 2022 looks like a pretty good year for films. Hopefully nothing gets delayed. God damn it, I spoke too early. I know, not what you were expecting to see, but hear me out. Premium formats do make the movie theater experience like 5 times better than it already is. They're just so limited. Like, it makes sense since they cost a lot of money to make in the first place, but they are so limited. Only 1 or 2 films can play on IMAX at once. And when it's 2, that's a really bad thing, cause one of them ends up becoming a flop. Bumblebee and Aquaman released in the same day back in 2018, and surprise, surprise, one of them didn't even make back its budget domestically. When 2 films have to share a specific premium format like IMAX or Dolby at once, it can really end up harming one of them. A more recent example is The Matrix Resurrections having to share IMAX and Dolby screens with Spider-Man No Way Home, and to no one's surprise, that caused to it flopping very hard. I'm not saying that's the only thing to blame for The Matrix 4 flopping, but I'm pretty sure you get my point. Also, here's a story actually. When I went to see The Matrix Resurrections, it was opening day, the busiest AMC chain in my entire city, and only 7 other people were there. Also, no lie, some of these premium formats just confuse me in regards to the films they decide to play. I mean, you want me to be convinced that the Lego Movie 2 and the Illumination Grinch movie got IMAX and Dolby releases, but the 2022 Scream movie, which came out 4 days ago as of the time I'm writing the script, I can't even find it playing in any premium format in any one of my theaters. The sad truth is, unless you are a Marvel movie, you'll probably stay on IMAX for a week or 2 and then stop being advertised by your cinema chain and fade into obscurity. Because of the fact that No Way Home was overperforming, one of my nearby theaters just kicked The Matrix Resurrections out of all premium formats just so they could advertise No Way Home more. And it's also kind of sad to me that pretty much only action films release on these premium formats 90% of the time. I really think horror and hot take, I think, but especially musicals deserve a run on these premium formats. But no, Hollywood sees musical movies as a curse to the box office. I'll touch more on that later on in the video. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. So as a conclusion to the segment, I'll say that these premium formats help movie theaters just as much as they, well, don't help certain films. A point I briefly mentioned in the previous segment of the video was overpopulation. It seems that every studio is desperate to make their own cinematic universe or top-grossing franchise, even if it means touching really well-received franchises that were untouched for the past few decades. Examples include Jurassic Park, Halloween, and surprisingly enough, Disney gave a straight-to-video sequel to Cinderella 52 years after its release. Notice how the only horror films that actually did well in 2021 were Halloween Kills, The Conjuring 3, and Candyman. 2 of the 3 I mentioned were sequels, and 1 was a reboot of a long-existing story. Films like Malignant, Antlers, and surprisingly enough, Last Night in Soho all ended up doing really bad. This isn't only the case for horror films. Even animation, if you look at the theatrical list of animated films for 2021, you'll see that the only ones that actually did well were parts of existing franchises. Sing 2, The Addams Family 2, Paw Patrol the movie, The Boss Baby 2, whereas original stories like Ron's Gone Wrong and Raya, despite being under the name of Disney, still underperformed. Due to this overpopulation of heavily marketed franchises and action films, a lot of mediums and genres have fallen from grace. I've mentioned stop-motion animated films have just stopped releasing in theaters now, and musical movies. We've had 3 of them in 2021, those being Dear Evan Hansen, In the Heights, and West Side Story, and all three of them flopped hard. Despite the fact that I saw a really good amount of marketing for West Side Story and In the Heights, we're not even getting a theatrical animated film in 2022 until almost 5 months into the year with DreamWorks as the bad guys. That really says a lot, doesn't it? But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this topic. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like and commenting down below telling me if you think movie theaters are dying or not. But I have to go now. Goodbye and stay safe.